Heyo and welcome to the Planet Plipcam channel for another park showcase. Today we're going to be having a look at Lithic Mountains, and you can already see what a park this looks to be. You've got so many coasters in your sight lines, and you can see what a great custom font. I'm sure it'll be something to go on through the park with lots of themes of good fonts, as you can see even in the distance on the horizon. So we've got a description kindly from the creator. They are called Diamondite, I think, and their description says, "Hello, welcome to Lithic Mountains. This is my first major park in this game. Has 5 major coasters and 3 themed areas. This park has the budget of the parks of the likes of Dollywood and SeaWorld kind of parks. With all of that out of the way, I hope you enjoy Lithic Mountains." And just by looking at it to start with, this creator's done such a good job with the trims all around their buildings. I love the custom fonts. I'm not too sure if they might be off the workshop, but even still it's nice to put them all together. I'm sorry if they are yours. But you head through the entrance, a nice archway, nicely trimmed again, and into this avenue. So Amethyst Avenue, and it's nicely lit with all of the purple, nicely correlating to the name of the place. And you've got nice all the way around, brilliant buildings. And I would usually say don't use bright lighting, as it can look tacky and unrealistic. But in this case it really works well because it bounces off those buildings really well. So that's nice to see. And you've got foliage all the way around. I would just add some fences behind that foliage just to add to the realism. And I'd say in the flower beds, just variate the foliage a bit more, rotate it all a little bit more, so you don't have the 2D lines and the clipping between them. So that's a nice little plaza around here. I can imagine there being kind of office buildings around these shops around here. Using the in-game signs, I quite like that in this case. Usually I'm not a big fan, but it works quite well there. I do like the detail that you put in here with all of the fences. You've really themed it all in and had to go around so carefully to add these custom, well not custom, but the fence pieces. It's not easy to get them lined up all the way along. So we carry on through this theme really. I'd like to see this at day. Hopefully this recording from the PlayStation 5 does give us the daytime POV of this area. But we've got the Amethyst area, we've got a nice font around here again. I like how it's sat on this wooden kind of pillar. You can really see that being a permanent fixture in the park. You got the priority pass around there, and the queue line, I would turn the grid pathing on for this one, but yeah, it's absolutely fine. And again, the theming, I'll just add a bit more than I know you've got the little crystals and foliage, but maybe some overheads, just so it's not so boring just walking around the same kind of area. Nothing progresses through the queue line, there's no kind of story. But all in all, looking at the station here, it's really nice how you've got all of the baggage zones where you can put stuff. We will pause on the lift hill very kindly and take a look at the results. So the G-forces are all good there. I mean, for Planet Coaster, they are fine. In real life they may be a bit high, but 2.05 seconds of airtime is quite good. So I'm looking forward to that airtime on this coaster. So we'll head down this drop around. Could be a bit more banking on there, I must say, especially into this loop. So you head around and down, a bit more banking between these elements. I must say that these do look like pre-built, the ones that come in game. I would just say if you're going to do that, you need to make sure you're going in straight with very little yaw, otherwise you're really going to be having some G-forces around. Again, just around here, increase the banking a bit more. There's some nice little airtime hills. There's a drop up and down, and certainly when you get near the end, it's quite popular with most coasters, I think, getting some last few airtime hills. And then again, just this transfer track, giving you some more tips. Try and do it before you actually build the coaster, and then you'll have a nice straight brake run, which will be realistic to real life. But nice little coaster building. I would just say try and stray away from the purple light as you get further away from the entrance area. Yes, it's nice to have an overriding theme, but I would say that it does get a bit in your face sometimes. So I would just tone it down a little bit more and add some more realistic yellows and whites into the lighting fixtures. So we've got some more shops, all branded. Nicely done. These do look like identical buildings, which is nice. On either side, you've done well to duplicate each side. And we've got benches all the way around the path, which is nicely done. and many security guards walking around. It must be high for crime around here. Very kindly, we are going into daytime now, which is what I did want to see, as I think it will really complement this better, because I'm not the biggest fan of purple vibrant light. So we've got the Viperous Forest, really nice custom sign with that kind of teepee there, and you've got the lodge, which seems like a hotel. Really nice and inventive sign, getting your own branding for your actual park. But yeah, really nicely blended in with the foliage, and it's a bit more like, you know, natural. It's all a bit random foliage just around here, and you've got spotlights in the ground to light it up at night. I imagine it's green, and I hope it's not too garishly green, but I would just say tone all the colours down if it is. And so we've got Viper here, an interesting sign with all of these supports on the side, these pillars, which actually go to nowhere, but maybe it themes into the actual Viper ride. We've got some floating lights around here, which I'm sure the creator will have seen when recording this and said, oh no, there you go, deleting them now. No problem, lots of people go part blind, I certainly do, and just get carried away and you'll never see anything until you're really going in for someone to review it. So we've got another queue line, another cattle pen, which is good to see. I do like it for realism. Just looking at that path, the steps on the curve, I just try and, in Planet Coaster, the paths really don't like going on curves if you're going upwards, as they make really steep drops, and it's almost like someone's been chipping away at the slope. So try and, if you're doing steps in this game, try and just go for the, go for the straight paths all the way up, and then do your turning when you're on flat ground. So having a look at the results, the G-forces are quite high for this one. The vertical G-force, quite high, as I say. Air time's pretty good, and the scenery rating, as we would expect for a park showcase, is high. So we're going to head up here. I like the box lights, they've all been done custom along here. It'd be nice to see this at night time. And we head down here. No pre-drop for this one, so it would be nice to see, as there is quite a lot that the front car goes down. But we'll head around here, banking around to the right. Adequate amount of banking around there. Under the supports, I always like to see that, it looks so cool. Good banking again, I think you've nailed it for this part. Around here, maybe a bit more banking up there, but for these kind of wooden coasters, you do like them to be snappy. So you go a little bit of airtime there, quite slow over, maybe you would not want to draw it out so long. There's a really good piece of airtime just there, and again. So you head round to the right, through all these trees, and just looking at the scenery. There's no real theme to it, apart from the foliage, but it's very common for lots of wooden coasters, because they are natural, you know, they're made of wood. So it's a good little theme you've got going on, a good palette of foliage. I would say that these yellow trees wouldn't be too frequent in real life. I wouldn't think, unless you're in some kind of area where they have loads of these trees. I would just say don't make them so, you have them every so often. Make them a bit more natural. Have some together as they maybe would grow together. It's all just things to think about, really. But we head into the station. It's nice how you've used the studio security guards and the kiosk people who are going to help you onto the coaster and make sure you're strapped in and all of that. So the exit path again, I like that. And then you look on the actual station, you've used the big pillar supports or maybe the basic shapes to make nice columns to hold that up, which is good. A flat ride around here. I would just say these queue lines I would recommend just theming a bit more, as I do think they can be a bit boring. Maybe just putting a shelter over one just to add some overheads for the guests, make it a bit more exciting. And then around here, my first thoughts for this flat ride, it's got to have some fences around the side. It's not safe enough. You put some fences around there and it's all cool. We've got a bin that's fallen over, but don't worry, I hate that setting. I always turn it off, the guest happiness and everything like that. A nice building around here, nicely using the vintage pillars around there. So it's a gulpy, and we head around here. I like how many T-junctions you got around the park. Although I would say that if you did want to reduce piece count, I know that on the PlayStation 5 you've hit 91%, and if it's finished then it's not too much of a bother. But these paths going all the way around, there's so many routes to everywhere, but it might just make the park a bit feel a bit busier, maybe if you've got fewer paths, as I don't think that these shops will get much traction really, because Tommy CM did a brilliant video the other day. or maybe it was ages ago and I just caught up on it, about where to place your shops and just some tips for realism. So you got to be placing your shops in high footfall areas, and when it's just around there, they're really not going to go around unless they are starving. So we've got Heaven's Lagoon just around here. It seems like a tropical area to the park. I love all the foliage around here. I always like a tropical areas. I've done with Missouri Zoo Gardens. We've got a Tiki Cheeky. I would say that this build style doesn't replicate the Tiki Cheeky kind of tropical style, but just something to look at. From looking at your buildings so far, I would say that some of them are quite blocky. Whilst you've trimmed them perfectly well, they do seem to be 2 4-metre grid pieces, 2, 3 or 4 across, and then 2 back, or even 1 back. So it's just a big rectangle. So I would just say variate them a bit, maybe make an L shape, make one with a bit higher of a roof. I just think that would be good. Wish you were here, that sign says. A nice custom font again. We had around here, again you just saw the big hammer swings, which were really good. But just look at the vibes of the park. I really like all the foliage. It's nicely implemented, and it really blocks some sight lines so you can feel immersed in the experience. Some flowers just dotted around. It's much more random, this area of the park, which is perfect for the foliage, and filling in those gaps between the paths perfectly. Again, just seeing on the left there, this build style, I would recommend just having a look at, think what kind of area you're going for. Maybe you're going for some kind of, to me this looks kind of French kind of buildings, maybe stereotypically French, but just take a look at, if you're doing a tropical kind of zone, there's some brilliant kind of pieces that fit into the pirate kind of section, which can work well for the tropical kind of theme. This flat ride is always good for the tropical. It seems like some kind of Mardi Gras kind of flags on top of that ride, so I like that selection. Your variation of bins is good. I do like how they correlate with the colours of the buildings. However, again, I'd just go for maybe a yellow or some purples. Just go for some colours which will blend in more to the tropical kind of feel. So we've got a mechanic who's going to drop down here on pause mode, and I think we're going to go into Plipcam here. So we can see this Vista Point. I've done quite well now, haven't I, with my name Plipcam. It's kind of free advertising in every video or whatever anyone does, free advertising. So we're into Plipcam. We are on pause mode, but look at the view. It's really nice around here. It'd be interesting to see if these have supports, these paths. If they don't, which I don't think they do, it would be nice to see some supports under there, so that it's just not floating path. I tried to pick it up as much as I can in these videos, and just hopefully give you as many tips, and hopefully you can see me as someone who has some skills in the game, at least enough to just give some hints and tips. So we're going to head around to this coaster now. My coaster knowledge isn't always the best, but I think when it comes to theming, I'm pretty good, because I've watched so many videos on YouTube and explored so many Steam Workshop creations that I just love this game and the theming you can do. So we're going to head on this coaster. Looks like a B&M invert, and the tests are all right. Again, try really reduce them at least below 4 Gs of vertical, I'd say, because we did a B&M invert recently, and the limit for the vertical was 6 Gs. But I'd always say try keep them below 4 if you can. If you do, you've done a brilliant job. So we're going to head around here into a vertical loop by the looks of it, and heading around again. Nice 0G roll. That looks not to be custom at all. That looks to be pre-built. The way to tell is just to have a look at the actual bolts. You can see the nuts and bolts in the actual track, and the closer they are, the closer to the 4 metre that they are. It's just a way to tell, but either way, you've implemented the different kind of inverts that you can get in this game really well, I think. Again, a non-custom one is totally okay. I would just say with some of the supports, and just around there before I forget, that bit does need a bit more banking, but some of the supports are a bit close. I think you could reach out to touch a few of them just earlier on in the midsections of that layout. But another nice coaster. The station is very nicely done. I like how it's implemented the retro kind of feel and then some of the pillars as well with basic shapes, and the pillars, of course, from I think the coaster support section. We'll head around here, and we've got Cloudnine. So this is a single rail. I love these kind of coasters. To me, they don't even look real. I've never seen one in real life for my own eyes. To my knowledge, there is no single rail in the UK. I'm pretty sure most of them are all in America. But we're going to go on this ride, and you can see the baggage areas over on the left there. We've got the studio people waiting to help you onto the coaster. It's really nice to see such realism put into this station. But we are going to get on this coaster. I like how it's white. It almost looks... These coasters kind of look plastic to me, so it's the Basilisk in-game. And the scenery rating is 100. The results, hopefully we'll just have a look at those quickly. 5.82 Gs, it's okay. But I have ridden this before, this coaster. I did have a look before I started recording. I scrolled through and saw this and said, wow, I love having a ride on these coasters. But I will point that out. But yeah, to me, these coasters do not seem real. It's really weird. We're going to head over here into, I think, it's either an Immelman. It is an Immelman. Immelman. I can't even say it. You can tell my coaster knowledge isn't the best. We've got some decent banking around here. A good airtime pop. A 0G roll. Quite slow over there. It might want to be a bit snappier. Quite a drop into there. And then this is the bit which I would amend. So you go around and invert for some really long hang time. And then around on your back. Around. So I would just say, I'm not too sure if that is realistic or not. For me, I'd say it would not be. I'm not too clued up on these kind of coasters. But I'd say that that's going to be bringing your G-force up. Your excitement is actually going to be going down, I suppose, because you're going so slow around there. We've got a roll just there. Not heartlined, I don't think that one, but we're going to head around and into the station. But I'd just say some of those elements, just go and watch some POVs of coasters. Certainly that's what I do when I do coasters. Have a look and see what's realistic. Just implement some of their features. Maybe I'm completely wrong. You can correct me in the comments if that's a common feature, going all the way upside down for ages there. But I wouldn't say in the game it does too well for the stats. So we are going to head around. You can see these paths. They're so expansive. And you've got, I like how you've got these lots of shops, so they're never going to go hungry. Pip Shot Water, that blends in quite well with this theme of building, whilst I would amend the colour scheme. And we're just going to have a look around here where the guests are walking. You can see this kind of lake area, nicely blended in with the rocks. And you've got another ride around here called the EG Enchanted Gardens. So I think this is an area to the park. So we now head into kind of a red theme. So we've had blue in the tropical kind of zone. We've had, the purple. And then we're going to go into this red kind of zone. It's cool doing it by colour. I would just say that sometimes it can look tacky if you have everything red, accented with red. So you can see, I think that's a toilet building or a staff building. I would say that whilst these buildings are cool being the same, not all of them want to be the same if you just duplicated them around just to make it a bit more interesting. We've got loads of benches and bins, maybe too much, too many, maybe unrealistically. So we've got a coaster here, which is nice to see. A Wendigo, I thought it was called a Wendigo, but we've got the G-forces there, and we've got the stats, obviously, which were all fine for a kids coaster. We're going to go in and have a look. Or are we not? We've got a toilet building there, but the coaster's all fine. Maybe we're not going to ride on the kiddie coaster. I always love a little ride on the kiddie coaster, but maybe that's because I'm not the biggest thrill junkie in real life. But you've got a carousel there, nicely fits into this kind of fairy tale, more, fairy tale kind of vibe with the red. Reminds me of kind of Alice in Wonderland vibes. And then we've got, I think, Enchantment. Again, the custom signs are nice. We do have, lots of these same fonts, which I would maybe adjust. But we do have a launch coaster, the Zenith, the hydraulic launch around here. So we'll hopefully jump into the station right now. As you can see, I love the kind of look of this coaster with all of the triangles on the track. It looks so cool to me. So we're just going to head in, we'll have a look at the results. G-forces are pretty good here, apart from the laterals. I'd say your verticals are pretty spot on. Laterals are definitely too high, but we'll head around. And this hydraulic launch into up here, it almost looks like a kind of cheetah hunt kind of launch up here, so we'll have a look. Around, it does bank around to the right. It's not a kind of, it's kind of an extended kind of S in the air, like a wonky S. I know some kind of, I've watched a coaster PV in the past, which looks just like that. There's your lateral G-force maybe, where you're not banking around and turning quite quickly. And then a bit of air time, quite slow over there, I would say. You need to, you know, draw them out a bit less, you know, and you'll get some more airtime pops and more excitement around there. But quite a short coaster. I would say that could do with a bit of work, that coaster. I'd say there's not too much excitement in it, it doesn't seem to go too fast because all of the elements seem quite tall and it takes the speed out. But yeah, we'll just have a look. There's a fountain there that I missed with the animatronic, the kind of witch, which does look good. I like the water features that are in there. I'm sure it will spray, but at night time in Planet Coaster, of course, the water doesn't work very much. So you can see there's some more just areas where we've got the signs for the Enchanted Gardens, and I think that takes us back around to the start of the park. So just look at that from the overhead. It's a brilliant park. I do like how it's lit all the way through, something that's really good to do. I always forget to light everything around the park, but I do hope that you have enjoyed it. Just a tip, my main tip for this would be to tone down some of the lighting to make it less in your face, and I think that would do it really well. But at daytime it really excels, and I really do like some of the coasters, and the buildings are nicely trimmed as well. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please like it if you have. I really appreciate you subscribing to the channel and turning that bell notification bell on so you don't miss any videos. Thank you so much for watching this, and I will see you in the next one.